join me in welcoming our very eminent speakers from across the country who are especially the policy makers. The program chair and the moderator of our next session, that is on new education policy, state perspective on school, higher and technical education scenario. Let me introduce a brief introduction. He has been All India top third rank in the 1996 batch in the IAS batch. Currently, he's holding the post of Commissioner, Collegiate and Technical Education, Government of Telangana. In last 2 years, he has done some amazing work modernizing, reprogramming the structure of syllabus, and this has led to increased admission in the government colleges and a lot more to say. And we also have welcome Mr. Naveen Mittal, Commissioner, Collegiate and Technical Education. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Sandeep.
And we also have yet another special speaker from the state of Madhya Pradesh, P. Narhari, Commissioner, Department of Technical Education. Thank you very much, Mr. Narhari, for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Really, my pleasure to be part of this.
We also have Mr. Talat Parvez Rohela, who is the Commissioner for Higher Education Department with the Government of Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Talat.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we also have the Secretary for the Education Department, Government of Meghalaya, Chinmay Punlik Rao Godmare. Thank you very much, Mr. Chinmay. With this, I would request our moderator and the program chair, Mr. Naveen Mittal. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sudhir. And it's a very, I would say, very important and interesting session where we are actually talking about the new national education policy from the state's perspective. And we have got a very distinguished panel consisting of commissioners and secretaries from three states from various parts of the country. And this new national education policy, which has been released this year, has come after almost a period of 34 years, because the last policy was in 1986. And this policy has been in making for now close to 5 years. We've been talking about this policy, and has gone through some very amazing, I would say, consultations with the stakeholders from different sectors of, I would say, education and both private, government, NGOs, citizens, students, teachers. And I would say that policy which has come out is a real policy which India was needing, and a path-making policy in many ways. Something which, if it can be implemented in the right perspective, can really transform the Indian education sector. And this policy coming at a time when the whole world, not just India, but the whole world is facing this COVID pandemic. And there's been a huge shift also in adoption of technology in the education sector. I think these two things coupled together, if we can take it forward, can really, really help to change and transform the Indian education sector the way we want to. So I'll talk to the three panelists we have today, who have got some, I would say, deep experience in the education sector. All three are the leaders in higher education space. I'll start with Narhari first. Narhari is the Commissioner for Technical Education in Madhya Pradesh. In fact, is a good friend of mine because he belongs to the state of Andhra Pradesh. And before division, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh were joint states. And we've met in various capacities in the past also. And I must say that he has got a deep interest in administration, and wherever he's worked, he's left a deep impact in the sectors which he has handled. So Narhari, welcome to the panel. And what are your views on the new national education policy from the state's perspective? And what do you think is the roadmap to implement this policy in the state?
So thank you, sir. It's really refreshing to be part of this panel, and you being the moderator, it's nice to see you after a bit of time. And I'm also happy to have Mr. Talat ji and Chinmay ji as part of this panel. And I thank APAC Global Education and Skill Conclave organizers for this wonderful initiative, I would say, actually, wherein we are able to not only express our own state government's policy initiatives and programs, but also listen to other states. This is something really, really, really good. Thanking you once again for giving this opportunity. The National Education Policy 2020, while providing a short and crisp framework document, greatly simplifying the regulatory structure for the sector, has put up several challenges before the education administrators, particularly those dealing with professional education like medical and engineering. The National Education Policy 2020 advocates three key thematic developments. One, from content-driven pedagogy towards conceptual and problem-solving approach. Two, a 360-degree assessment covering educational, mental, and physical well-being of the students. And three, an experiential approach through vocational skills, mathematical and computational thinking, and new age skills such as coding and data science. Whereas the major challenges before the Technical Education Department in Madhya Pradesh, in view of the new Education Policy 2020, we feel these are the things that we are actually trying to work upon. Number one, to decide on the possible education fields like arts, commerce, and medical science to be clubbed with present-day course structure in use in states' engineering and polytechnic colleges. Once this is done, it will bring the holistic improvement in the fields of research and development, which globally has become multidisciplinary. We all understand the new education policy talks about the multidisciplinary approach. Now we need to marry the possible fields like arts, commerce, etc., with engineering and the technical education. Second, a lot of thinking will be required to establish at least one large multidisciplinary institution in every district in Madhya Pradesh by the year 2030, as per target set under the new Education Policy 2020. Education departments dealing with higher education, technical and medical education have to work in sync with achieving this momentous task. Under the new education policy, it is envisaged that multidisciplinary institutions to have 3,000 students on its roll. To manage such an institution, a broad-based framework with clearly defined direction in choice-based credit system and adequate manpower, particularly faculty, has to be in place. A final year student doing BTech in civil engineering with optional subjects in economics and music will certainly bring out the best graduates to take on challenges in real life domain. Further integration of certificate courses like ITI, which is 1 year, diploma, 2 year, there's polytechnics 2 year, and degree engineering 3 or 4 years, and a multiple entry and multiple exit system will reduce the percentage of dropouts without a certificate or degree. But most important challenge we all understand is how to actually make a framework in order to achieve these things to happen. This is the biggest challenge we all as administrators have to go through. Under the new education policy, examinations are being advised to transform towards a culture of assessment with continuous tracking of learning outcomes, a focus on higher order and foundational skills, and AI-based software progress tracking to enable students to make optimal career choices. To broadly meet the expectation of goals set in new education policy, Department of Technical Education under Atmanirbhar Madhya Pradesh 2023 program of Government of Madhya Pradesh has decided to work to provide high quality IT-enabled infrastructure and build sustainable bond with industries so as to improve the employability of the students. The Directorate of Technical Education is striving hard to build a bridge among technical institutions and industries by formulating cohesive and result-oriented policies on career and placement, R&D, innovation, startups, and STEM education. These are some of the initiatives that we have already started taking, and I'm mentioning about Atmanirbhar Madhya Pradesh. This is another important thing our Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh has on the lines of Atmanirbhar Bharat. We have already had the departments are divided into 4 groups, and education being one of the most important thing as per the new education policy. We have already formulated a roadmap as to how to implement the new education policy under Atmanirbhar Madhya Pradesh 2023. So these are some of the things that we would be working upon. We do have challenges. We know we have a lot of challenges ahead of us, but definitely we will try to work it out, and on the basis of other state governments' experiences, we will incorporate and try to take things forward. Thank you. Initially, that's what I would like to say.
Thank you, Narendra. I think you've really brought out the important aspects of the new national education policy, and it was very interesting to hear from you about this concept of Atmanirbhar Madhya Pradesh. I think it's a very interesting concept where if states can become really self-sufficient in terms of especially higher education, because we've seen some states which are deficit in terms of the opportunities which are available in the higher education space. They need to send out their students outside, and states can become self-sufficient. I think we will very quickly reach our target of, as a country target of 50% GER. Very good and interesting to hear from you. I now move on to Mr. Talat Parvez Rohila, who is the Secretary in Higher Education Space, Higher Education Sector in the Union Territory of Jammu Kashmir. It's I would say the kind of rapid strides which Jammu Kashmir has made in the education sector with setting up of new national level institutions like IITs, IIMs, and also central universities, and of course state higher education institutions also is really, really remarkable, I must say. What are your thoughts about the new national education policy, and how do you think it will help the states to move forward in the higher education space, and also the roadmap which we need to have to implement it?
Thank you. Thank you, Naveenji. It was nice hearing the words of NIP being implemented in Telangana and how you're going about it. And it was educating the lecture we heard from Mr. Narahari and how he's talking about Atmanirbhar Madhya Pradesh, and we'll be listening to Chinmay Saab also from the state of Telangana. And in context of NEP, we appreciate the transformational parameters intervention, what the policy is speaking about. Especially, I would like to make mention of the institutional structure. They call it Higher Education Council, which is having 4 verticals to define the standards and give the funding regulations and other accreditation bodies. That will be a great step forward to take the standardized to all institutions, including the private universities and colleges as well. So that's a good, appreciable intervention, what may go long in defining the standards across the country, when we'll be having common admission policy and admission tests being conducted by NTA, and our common examinations for single admission. It will set the standards forward. It also talks about multidisciplinary, as Mr. Narahari was saying, institutions being created. Multidisciplinary means you can have all the type of interventions of various disciplines being taught, and integration of the courses, which may render our individuals very employable, much needed for the industry now, and also for self-entrepreneurship. So, this multidisciplinary also talks about the research institution being specialized in research, outcome-based research. Some of the institutions may grow as independent research institutions, while others can be degree awarding, autonomous institutions functioning as per the Higher Education Council's policy guidelines. So third, appreciation, what we take on record is setting up a National Technology Education Forum, which will be supporting the ICT initiatives, also the providing the e-content and other SWAYAM portal will be integrated in that forum. That will be a great opportunity for all the education to leverage upon. Similarly, I must appreciate the policy intervention of Research Foundation being set up. A huge funding will be available for all the institutions to take up projects which may lead to the societal challenges, and also to see the society getting benefit out of the institutions. The impact of education institutions in the daily lives of the people may increase in case we leverage upon the funds based on the outcome of such research taken up as per the needs. Similarly, another intervention I appreciate is internationalization of the education system standards. When we invite international universities to set up campuses and our universities of standards to set up campuses outside India. So that will be exchange of faculty, exchange of students, and much of the education will be having the standards as we see operational in other countries and other states of world across. Similarly, what Narendra was saying, the policy has a transformation on conceptual type of teaching. We have to do away with rote type of learning, and actually understanding the concepts, understanding the subject matter, the philosophy of the subject would be more stressed upon. We'll be teaching less but learning more. This is the policy concept matter we learn from the new education policy. Another aspect, a very bright aspect, we can say, we are actually now shifting from book learning to project-based learning. Project-based learning will lead us to experiential learning. So this type of intervention, this type of curriculum pedagogy changes will go a long way in improving the higher education sector. Critical thinking is again one of the sector which has been stressed upon by the national education policy. Increasing computational capacity and learning capacity of the students is a good feature which may go a long way. This has to be augmented and strengthened by the policy enables multiple entry and multiple exit systems supported by your lifelong learning type of courses. So these are summarized as our J&K government understands the policy intervention which will go a long way in transforming the higher education sector. Now coming to our initiatives, what J&K state is going to do, understanding these priorities, what has happened in the National Education Policy Forum. We in higher education system has initiated the process of transforming the teaching learning process. We are going to convert all the classrooms into digital classrooms. We have already developed the e-content as the prescribed syllabus for first semester to sixth semester of all the batches, and also for the PG courses from first semester to fourth semester. All the teaching will be done through e-content and on the digital platform. This will be also integrating the SWAYAM portals, SWAYAM Prabha, and other e-learning digital platform, NDL and Enlist programs as well. We are also having tie-up with institutions like IIT Mumbai, IIT Kharagpur to do for the virtual lab type of integration. We also intend to do this digital capacity building of our tutors and also expose our students for digital learning techniques and emerging technologies. Similarly, second intervention, what we are seeing a transformative change is integrating the professional courses and vocational programs with the regular programs. We have a 16 credit program forming part of the regular degree. These 16 credits will be taught to the student as a certificate course which will be portion of the professional degree program or portion of a vocational program, as we have exit level at certificate, a diploma or advanced diploma of the B vocational program. We are straight away implementing the certificate portion of the BVOC program. And similarly, if we want to teach our student about horticulture, agriculture, and other health sciences, and integrate portion of it as an essential module and credit earning module for our regular degree program. Whether the student belongs to art stream, he can pick up a program on ICT initiative or Python learning or a data science modules. So this is the type of integration we're doing on professional development. Similarly, in order to enhance the research ecosystem and actually expose students to project-based learning, we are enhancing the research ecosystem to colleges now. We had research in universities is being extended to the research institution as a non-PhD granting research and extension centers in colleges. And to begin with, we have started 17 colleges in the valley of Kashmir and 17 in the hills of Jammu. So both of this initiative will be going in as a pilot, and they will be upscaled to all colleges and all institutions across the UT of J&K. Similar intervention would be done for career counseling and placements. We'll be counseling the students to right type of subject, because choice-based credit system has posed a challenge. What type of subject should be chosen is not known to many students. So our faculty, our batch cells will be available to guide them a right choice of career planning of subjects so that they can pursue the career they dream of. If they dream of infrastructure careers, they have to choose a particular set of projects. Similarly, we also are vouching for graded autonomy of an institution. We in Jammu University and Kashmir University have campuses. We are intending to convert those campuses along with the colleges affiliated to them, becoming autonomous, the constituent college of the campuses, and those campuses will be degree awarding institutions. While the main campus of Jammu University and Kashmir University can become the research hub. They can be taking research programs, others can be degree. So that will be actually focusing our university staff and deans for a particular type of intervention at the main campus, and the rest of the satellite campus can function as a degree awarding institutions. This we are actually aiming at. It's not only happening at Jammu University, also for the technical university like Agriculture University we have. You were saying the IIT and IIMs. We're going to have MOUs with them so as to we integrate our education learning with these universities and institutions of national repute. Similarly, we are also exposing our students to internship and apprenticeships. Unless we don't expose our students to internship and apprenticeship, project-based learning of type thing will not happen. Experiential type of learning will not happen. So in order to experiential type of learning, we are exposing our students to the national program which is run by government departments. Suppose the political department will be associating with our Panchayati Raj system department. So they'll be having practical knowledge of Panchayati Raj system, of learning the system in a quality. And similarly, commerce people can be attached to the trading department or commerce department of economic department, finance department of J&K state, whatever the schemes are running through. Similarly, the PHE department, PDD departments, and other rural department will be having their share of students getting the apprenticeship in those programs, what are run as the national programs of the importance. Similarly, we have a research program taken up outbound based where the students will be given the, and industries, agro industries or the factories or the corporations will also get some trainees as apprentices from our colleges. This is another section where we are working upon and will be implementing in the future times to come. And one more initiative which is very critical is students training. We are going to train our students in emerging technologies. We have already tied up with the ICT Academy and IIT Roorkee and other institutions. They have come up with a program to train every year 10,000 students in ICT emerging technologies. So these 5, 6, and I believe 10, 9 interventions we are initially taking up, and rest of the things will be following as we progress on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Talatji. It's really interesting to hear from you the efforts which you are making in the state for especially digitization of the classrooms and integrating digital education into the colleges, and also the attempts and the efforts which are being made to improve the learning levels of the students by having more practical learning, internships, focus on research. So my real best wishes to you in your efforts, and I'm sure that Jammu Kashmir has got a great potential in terms of improving the education, especially the higher education. I move on to Chinmay now. Chinmay is the Secretary of Education. So Chinmay, because we've heard from our two panelists about technical education and higher education, I would like you to focus on more of school education as to how the NEP is going to improve the school education space in the country, and also your roadmap in implementing some of the reforms which are there.
Thank you, sir. At the outset, I congratulate you on this conclave. My regards to Narhari sir and Talat sir. And as Naveen sir has mentioned, I won't go ahead with the issues which you have already raised. Sir, in Meghalaya, we actually really appreciate the new education policy, because this multidisciplinary aspect would actually help in harnessing the interest of our students. Actually, our students are really good in music and arts and all these things, and clubbing them with the means giving them credits for that would help a lot. There are certain challenges specifically as far as Meghalaya is concerned, sir, because you are talking about education and elementary education, specifically with regards to providing instructions in the mother tongue. Now, in Meghalaya, we are having a very northeast, and specifically the smaller states like Meghalaya have peculiar challenges. For example, we have a student population of about 9.5 lakh. We already are providing instructions at elementary level in 3 major languages, which is Garo, Khasi, and Jaintia. Now, the challenge which has come to us because of this instructions or sort of a policy direction that elementary education should be provided in the mother tongue, we are having plethora of local languages, and creating content for them would be a challenge, because we cannot compromise on quality as far as that aspect is concerned. So we are taking up steps to basically orient teachers towards the goals of national education policy, new educational policy, and how that could be done is a challenge which we are working on. we have already set up a study group, core group on this aspect, which is headed by our education minister. And we hope that we will be doing a deep digging on all these concerns which are there, so that we actually get the best out of this policy. In my opinion, one aspect which has been mentioned by Talat sir also is very important about apprenticeship and early making them, basically linking them with their field of interest, sir. Because not only it will inculcate the sense of dignity of labor in our students, because once they have exposure to the industries, once they have exposure to their field of interest, they will be having a better understanding of the future careers they want to do. Then out of school children, the support for the out of school children is an aspect which the Meghalaya state is emphasizing upon, because we have a comparatively higher dropout rate. Now, as of now, the OOSC's support is extended only till class 8. Because now we are having the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan instead of the SSA. What we would like to actually do is to extend the OOSC support and provide them maybe training, because many students drop out because they are not interested in the traditional system of learning, or maybe they need to earn because of their financial constraints. So at that level, maybe at the higher secondary level, if we can have vocational education provided to them with the market linkages, that will be a great help, and the state of Meghalaya would be working on that. A few aspects which we are concerned about is actually the autonomy given to the private universities, because that's a concern for us because of the past experiences, and we may have to have a proper control and verification mechanism, because as they say in Hindi, sir, ki doodh ke jale hai to chhaj bhi phuk phuk ke peete hai, type of a thing, that we have had a bad experiences with some private universities which were set up in fact as per the act of the state, but still they indulged in some unsavory practices which had actually affected the whole, I would say, the prestige of the state also. So that is an aspect which we would like to look into. Then when it comes to the clubbing of resources, as the policy talks about the school complexes and all, now that is an aspect again which we will have to look into how that could be done, because most of the schools, they have their own concerns because of the school management committees, etc. Whether they would like to share their resources with the other schools and all, on that the state will be deliberating upon, and we hope to get the solution as soon as possible after due deliberation on it. We have again, I may be sounding a bit pessimistic, but the issue is also of the, which has been envisaged, though it is not compulsory, of the classical languages. Now, teaching of the classical languages in our state would be an issue which we would have to also look into, because getting the teachers for them is again an issue. So we basically are trying to use this education policy as a source to augment the resources which we have. We have, as Talat sir had also mentioned about horticulture, agriculture. These are the life skills which we would also like to impart to our students at an early stage. And if these are credited for in their education, which will help them in higher education and maybe doing research in that aspect, that will be a great step for our state. So that is from my side, sir. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Chinmay. I think you've really expressed the issues which a hilly state like Meghalaya faces. In fact, I was in Meghalaya as an election observer in the 2013-14 assembly elections, and I have experienced it myself.
Right,
the diversity which the three regions have, the Garo, Khasi, and Jaintia. and also difficulty in reaching some of the habitations which are in the hilly areas. So I think your concerns are pretty valid. But
I'm joining from home as of now because it's a Saturday, and the only concern I had whether I will be having a good network or not. Now, if I have that concern while sitting in Shillong, you can imagine what would be happening in the interior areas. So, the online learning and digital learning is a great step, but that needs to be augmented with proper infrastructure at the ground level also.
Yeah, I agree with you, and there is a lot to be done in that, especially, in fact, in one of my previous sessions in this conclave, I was talking about provision of device and also the infrastructure, that is internet bandwidth, not just to the colleges, but also from where students are joining, and that's a real bottleneck. I think we are now short of time, Sudhir. Is that right? How many more minutes to give us?
Yes, sir. I think you can take a quick response from all our eminent speakers.
Okay. So maybe 1 minute response from each one. Narari, we'll start with you. What do you think is the roadmap? I mean, especially in the technical education sector, what kind of work we need to do at the state level, and what kind of work we are expecting at the central level to really roll out this policy?
Actually, what has happened, sir, with this COVID crisis, what we are seeing is that there is hardly any discussion happening between state and the center as far as the implementation part is concerned. Everybody is working in silos. It looks like that, actually. And we are hoping that somewhere or the other, there have been great ideas which each of the states are doing, which I have been able to understand courtesy this particular Zoom conference. Otherwise, I feel that we need to have, each of the states should actually should discuss it out with other states as to what they are doing, share each of our initiatives, and try to see to it that after a long time, a new education policy has come, and there are so many positive aspects to this policy, which are very, very, I would say it's timely in nature, actually, much needed in the current timeline that we are living in. So we need to have a comprehensive way of taking these things forward. So that is where, especially what I'm mentioning is Atmanirbhar Madhya Pradesh is a very important initiative that Madhya Pradesh government has actually come up with, and the policies that we need to frame, the outcomes and the things that we want to do, we actually got it approved by Niti Aayog. So something finally each one of the states have to think about this. Whatever we frame, whatever kind of policies or the initiatives or the roadmap that we are designing, is it actually in tune with what Government of India's NEP has envisaged? And rightly, Chinmay has rightly mentioned that any policy has to be realistic in nature, in the sense that what is on paper and what we try to do it on the field, there has to be a lot of bridging which needs to be done, whether it is technologically or otherwise so. So this is where we feel that a lot of work has to be done. And I'm very, very sure that with all states coming together and central supporting us in each and every initiative of this kind, we definitely, there's a huge responsibility on our shoulders that if we miss the bus of NEP 2020, hardly will we have any other bus left out to catch up to. So this is a very good platform that we have had, and we definitely look forward that we will take these things forward. Thank you once again.
Yeah, I agree with you, Narari. I think there's need for a very collaborative effort between the state administrations, and also, especially in the higher education sector, we are looking for transformation of policy into the organizational structure and the regulations which we expect to move forward on that. Your views on this, Talatji?
Yeah, because you rightly said that I see national education policy more concerned about higher education than other sectors. It has having transformation change on our higher education scenario more than another technical education and the school education is not affected that much, and they don't have taken that much, except the language and other things talked through about Chinmay Saab and what problem they are facing. In our UT of J&K, we have set up a task force under the advisor we call ministries having the advisors having the minister's power this time. A task force, and VCs are the member to this, and we have taken panelists on experts on the subject matter of higher education. And we believe that the most core area which the task force will be dwelling upon is to produce a skillful and productive entrepreneurs from our college education or university education, who may be also doing some research and advance in the research sector also. But most of them will be finding out themselves as entrepreneurs or will have to contribute on the corporate and growth of industry as such. So we need to tweak our curriculum. We need to reform our curriculum as per the envisaged parameters of the national education policy, and develop critical thinking, taking the moral values along and developing their skills, integrating multidisciplinary type of knowledge into them. This task will be having this mandate to develop on. One good silver lining what we have done in UT of J&K is that we have devised an investment policy, education investment policy we call it. We are inviting private players to invest in the education sector, especially higher education sector, to increase the professional skills among us, the students, because most of our government colleges and government universities are operated. We have less of a private intervention in our higher education scenario. So we'd like to invite people to help us achieve the objective of NEP of 50% students getting enrolled for professional courses, and also to get the NEP's objective of reaching out to 50% of GAR targets. So this investment policy, education investment policy we call it, and this task force having the mandate of creating individuals which will be having productive and professional skills to be employable, more skillful and industry ready, and or to set up enterprises, because we are an agro based state. So we need to have the agro sustainable type of development. This is what we are thinking about, and this is a challenge for us. But we are sure that we have a potential, we have the opportunities with the national education policy on support of our endeavors. So we are hopeful that this will be a very transformational change, and in J&K will be able to match with many other advanced states like Telangana and Madhya Pradesh and other states of Punjab and Delhi. Thank you very much.
Right, Kalaji, and best wishes for that. Chinmay, unlike higher education, in school education, a lot of work actually needs to be done at the state level without waiting for too much of change at the national level. So, have you actually set up some kind of a time frame or a roadmap to implement some of those ideas? I mean, other than the controversial part of it.
Sir, I cannot say it. I cannot mention about it as of now, sir, because we are still in a process of deliberation, because it's a small population which we are going to cater to, but we are having very peculiar challenges, as I mentioned, about multilingualistic approach and all that. In my opinion, sir, three things are very important, as you were mentioning at the start. One is regarding financial support, because as of now, as per 2017-18 data, we are spending 2.7% of the GDP on education, and the policy envisages 6%. Now, this has to be very well supported by the not only the state government but also by the central government, so that we can finance the education sector for achieving the goals of NEP. Secondly, an important aspect is about training teachers' education. Basically, we had spoken about, I happened to hear the previous session also. So we were focusing about shifting the students from rote learning to more practical based learning and project based learning. What is very important at that level is that we also teach our teachers to have not only the academic orientation, but also professional orientation. So we will have to actually invest a lot in our maybe diets, our diets, etc., as well as in our colleges, and maybe the training from the central government, such as Nishtha training, etc., will have to focus specifically on the teachers being able to inculcate the values which are envisaged by the NEP in the students. So that is very important, and definitely the National Research Foundation. Now, National Research Foundation will also have to take the inputs from the states, because it is also very important that the education is localized to fit the local context also, because that is also one of the focuses of this education policy, that the local context and is also emphasized upon. So maybe there is need for, as Narahari sir had mentioned, we are missing this interaction with the center. Maybe with the in a short time to come, the things will normalize and we will have better interaction and more deliberations on this matter, so that both the states as well as because it's the policy is talking about local, national and international learning. So it needs to be deliberated deeply on it, sir, because as sir has mentioned, if we miss this bus, well, we will have to walk after that.
Thank you, Chinmay. I think we end on a note that this is a great policy, but the success will lie in its implementation, and for that, a lot of collaborative work is required between the center and the state, and also sharing the experience of states with each other. So, on that note, we hand over back to you, Sudhir.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for bringing out the holistic initiatives of Madhya Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Meghalaya, and of course